In a quiet chamber floating above the stars, the Galactic Council sat around a glowing table. Leaders of many alien species watched in silence as a silver machine blinked with red lights. This was Translator 7, the most powerful language AI in the galaxy. It could translate every known word in over 10,000 languages. Today, it had failed. The problem was a single word: night. The machine made strange noises. Then it stopped working completely. A sharp alarm echoed through the room. "What happened?" asked Supreme Director Cthulhu, leader of the Zelari. His 4 eyes blinked in confusion. A young alien engineer stepped forward. The AI tried to read an old Earth War record. It found the word night and then it shut down. Memory core overload. Another council member from the cold planet Dravik leaned forward. A single human word caused a full system crash. "Yes," the engineer said, "and we don't know why." Whispers filled the chamber. No one had ever seen Translator 7 fail. Earth was a small, low-tech planet. How could one of their old words break a galactic system? "Summon a human," K-Sul said. "Find someone who knows this word." Later that day, a transport ship brought Dr. Sarah Miles, a historian from Earth. She wore simple clothes, her dark hair tied back, and carried only a small bag of old books. She stood calmly in front of the council. Catho looked at her with doubt. "Do you know what this word means? Night?" Sarah smiled softly. "Yes." "Is it a weapon?" "No." "A machine?" "A hidden code?" "No." "Then, what is it?" Cthulhu laughed. "How can a single word be dangerous?" Sarah walked to the center of the room and placed a book on the table. It opened to a picture of a man in shining armor, standing with a sword and shield. "It's not just a word," she said. "It's a story. It's a promise. A knight is a person who fights for others, someone who protects the weak, someone who stands even when they are alone." The council laughed. One human standing alone. Against what? "Against everything," she said. Later that night, an old file was unlocked in Earth's war archives. A hidden message had been buried inside ancient satellite data. The file was corrupted, but one line remained clear: "Only a knight stands when empires fall." The council grew silent. Back on Zelari Prime, scanners picked up strange activity on Earth. Deep below Antarctica, a massive power surge appeared. It came from an old human base, long thought abandoned. "What is it?" Cthulhu asked. The scanners zoomed in. Beneath the ice, a large structure began to glow. It was covered in metal plates, shaped like armor. A signal blinked from inside it. "Project Chivalry reactivation in process." Cthulhu stood up. "Is this a weapon?" "No," said one of the alien scientists. "It's something else. We don't know what it is yet." The camera feed glitched. Then a voice came through the static. It was not human. It was older, colder, night protocol, confirming code of honor. Sarah looked up as the lights in the chamber flickered. "They buried it," she said. "Not because they were afraid of the machine, but because they were afraid of the idea." "What idea?" Cthulhu asked. She turned to him. That one person, with no army and no orders, could still make a difference. Outside, across the galaxy, signals began bouncing from ship to ship. The word had returned, and this time it would not be ignored. To be continued. The news of Project Chivalry spread fast across the galaxy. The Zelari war fleet moved into high alert. Spies were sent to Earth. Satellites were hacked. The Council feared that humans had awakened a forgotten weapon. But the truth was more dangerous. It wasn't a weapon. It was a code. Inside the ancient structure under Antarctica, machines hummed softly. A large armored suit stood at the center, locked in a cryo chamber. Its nameplate read KNIGHT01, Honor System Online. A voice echoed in the chamber. "Awaiting candidate." Code of honor must be met. Back on Zalari Prime, the council held a secret meeting. A historian named Varn Sola showed ancient images, paintings, sculptures, even dreams recorded by old telepathic species. In all of them, one figure appeared again and again, a human, in armor. With a sword, Varn spoke carefully. Our ancestors knew this form. They called it the one who defies the darkness, a being who follows no king. A warrior who fights for justice, not for reward, Cthulhu scoffed. My armies fight with perfect strategy. What can a lone dreamer in armor do? Varn replied, he doesn't need to win, only needs to inspire. Dr. Sarah Miles was taken back to the chamber. He was asked to translate a passage found in the Night Suit's memory core. Said, the night does not serve. The night protects. Even when hope is lost, the night does not kneel. The room fell silent. Who would write that? One alien asked. Sarah answered, someone who saw power turn cruel and chose to fight without becoming cruel himself. The Zelri tried to understand the night mindset. They fed the AI simulations, galaxy wars, political betrayals, false victories. But the night AI ignored them all. Instead, it ran one program again and again. Save the child, shield the weak, stand alone. One alien commander, Zurek of the Drex, was ordered to destroy the Earth site. But as he watched the night video's tales of old human warriors, samurai, and protectors, he hesitated. He turned to his advisor. Why do I feel respect for them? The advisor responded, because they stood for something no empire can control. Meanwhile, Sarah stood before the suit. It opened, slightly scanning her heart rate, emotions, memories. A voice from the armor spoke. You are afraid. You have seen betrayal, yet you still believe in honor. Are you ready to kneel not to power, but to principle? She nodded. The armor chose her. It wrapped around her slowly, piece by piece. It didn't feel like metal. It felt like a promise. The visor closed. Night system online. Welcome, Guardian. Suddenly, Earth's deep space radar detected something massive. The Zalari fleet was approaching. Thousands of warships. Enough to burn continents. But Sarah was no longer just a historian. She was now the first Galactic Knight. Cthulhu gave the order, destroy Project Chivalry. End the story before others believe it, but it was too late. Other species had started asking, what is a knight? Why did the word vanish from our language? What did we lose when we erased that idea? And in secret parts of the galaxy, small rebellions began to rise, not for power, not for revenge, but to protect, to stand, to defy the fall of honor. The knight armor stood tall in the cold Antarctic chamber. It was old, powerful, but not violent. It did not roar, did not threaten, it waited. It had chosen Dr. Sarah Miles, and now it asked her just one question. Will you follow the code? She stood in silence. Round her, the walls glowed with ancient lights. Words appeared not in any Earth language, but something older, maybe universal. Honor, courage, sacrifice, mercy. Truth. Sarah placed her hand on her chest. I will. The suit opened fully. Metal plates locked around her arms, legs, and chest. The armor felt light but strong, like wearing history itself. A golden blue light pulsed from the chest plate. Inside her helmet, a soft voice whispered, Naito 1, activation complete. Begin chivalry protocol. Suddenly, the ground shook. Satellite alarms screamed across Earth's systems. A fleet of Zelari warships had entered orbit. In the Galactic Council chamber, Cthulhu watched the screen. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with fear. Send a destroyer, he said. Crush the site. Kill the story before it spreads. One of his advisors warned him. Sir, she has activated the suit. And we've just learned something. Else, Cthulhu turned slowly. What? The advisor swallowed. There are 6 more night suits. Hidden across Earth. This was only the first. Back on Earth, Sarah stood outside the ice facility. Snow fell gently. Above her, the Zalari destroyer ship entered the atmosphere. Its engines roared like thunder. A massive cannon aimed straight at her. She didn't move. Instead, she whispered, "Night protocol, shield mode." The armor responded. A glowing shield of energy formed around her, not just over her body, but over the entire facility. The cannon fired. The blast hit the shield and bounced back, crashing into the destroyer's wing. The Zalari ship spiraled into the sea. The world watched in shock. News spread across human networks. Earth's first knight saves Antarctica from alien strike. But the story didn't stop on Earth. Across the galaxy, rebel signals picked up. The footage, in dark corners of Empire-controlled planets, whispers began. Did you see her? She blocked a warship with a shield. She didn't fight back. She protected. That's what a knight does. Deep in the Galactic archives, historians searched for forbidden files. They found something shocking. Long ago, during the First Alliance War, the Zalari had tried to copy Earth's knight system. But they failed because their soldiers refused to fight without orders. They had no concept of self-chosen honor. They erased the knight word from their language because they feared it. Inside the knight suit, Sarah heard more messages. Recordings from Earth's past. To be a knight is not to obey. To be a knight is to choose. And to choose well, even when the world tells you not to. She sat alone in the snow, not to rest, but to think. Because she had a mission now, not to start a war, but to find the other suits, to awaken the others who still believed in honor. In space, Cthulhu stared at the damage report. She stopped a destroyer, without killing anyone. Yes, the technician said. Then she is more dangerous than we thought. Across the stars, something began to change. Alien children asked their teachers, "Can we become knights?" Old warriors remembered the feeling of standing up for something real. The word knight started to appear again in poems, in songs, in dreams. Sarah received a message from Mars. A second knight suit had just lit up. Its location, the old Martian colony, Sector D5. She smiled inside her helmet. Project Chivalry had begun, and nothing in the galaxy could stop it now. To be continued. Ready for part 4? Why they fear the word. It will reveal why the word knight was erased from galactic memory and how its return could collapse entire empires. Just say the word and I'll begin. You said, part 4. ChatGPT said, absolutely. Here's part 4. Why they fear the word of your HFY sci-fi story. It's written in third person with basic English and full of tension, mystery, and emotional power to keep your viewers fully engaged and wanting more. Part 4. Why they fear the word knight was spreading, not just on Earth but across the stars. On merchant ships, in military barracks, inside secret prisons, someone was always whispering. She stood alone and stopped. A warship. They called her the First Knight. She fought without hate and protected without fear. And with every whisper, fear began to grow, not in humans, but in the Zalari Empire. On Zalari Prime, a secret council gathered, in a black chamber deep underground. No cameras, no recordings. High Lord Cthulhu stood at the head of the table. "People are asking questions," said a Drex general. "Even in our fleets," Cthulhu nodded slowly. "Because the word knight is not just a word, right? A virus, a story that cannot be killed." He walked to a hidden screen and unlocked a forbidden file. The file was marked, Galactic Memory Erased Night Protocol Year 0189 AC. The file played hundreds of years ago during the first galactic collapse. A small group of humans joined alien rebels to stop a tyrant named Varrock, the Undying. They wore armor not powered by machines but by will. They had no chains, no flags, and no master. They called themselves knights. Oh. And they won battles that logic said were impossible. They stood when armies fell. They protected planets the Zalari wanted to burn. One line from an old alien journal flashed on the screen. Their code was stronger than our weapons. Their mercy was more dangerous than any bomb. After the war, the Zalari banned the word knight from all languages. They wiped it from history. They deleted it from AI memory banks. Children were taught it was a myth, just a story, because the Empire knew the truth. The word itself gave people hope, and hope makes rebels. Back on Earth, Sarah Miles stepped. Out of her night suit in a quiet underground lab, her body was tired, but her heart was strong. She had received coordinates for the next night on Mars in the ruins of an old colony. But before leaving, she opened a transmission to the galaxy. Her message was simple. A knight is not a soldier. A knight does not seek war. Knight protects the innocent, no matter the cost. You don't need armor to be one, just need to stand. That single message changed everything. Alien news networks exploded. Hashtags and symbols of knights filled digital skies. On a mining planet ruled by the Zalari, a teenage worker refused to obey a cruel order. When asked why, he simply said, "A knight wouldn't let this happen." His punishment was broadcast, but instead of fear, it sparked riots. Cthulhu smashed a screen in anger. "This is not just about her," he shouted. "The armor, the weapons, we can destroy them. But we cannot destroy the idea." On a forgotten moon, a warlord named Greal Vox watched Sarah's message. He was once a loyal Zalari general. Now he turned to his army and said, "We've served fear for too long, but honor. I remember what that felt like." He raised a blade not to attack, but to swear an oath. "I will become a knight." Meanwhile, Sarah landed on Mars. The air was thin. The land was red and broken. Inside the old colony ruins, she walked until she found a metal vault, buried in sand and silence. The second night suit waited there, silent and sleeping. Her visor flashed, "Candidate not found," awaiting next protector. She looked around and saw a young woman hiding behind broken metal crates, a Martian mechanic named Lyra, afraid but watching. Sarah knelt beside her. "You don't need to be strong. You don't need to fight. You only need to care." Lyra looked at the suit, then back at Sarah and whispered, "I'll try." The suit opened. In space, satellites picked up a new signal. Second Night online code. Defender Cthulhu stared at the growing list. Naito 1, activated. Naito 2, activated. Naito 3. Blinking, the word was no longer lost. The word was no longer erased. The word was rising, and for the first time in 100 years, the Empire was afraid. The second night had awakened. Across the galaxy, signals spread faster than light. Two suits now answered to Earthborn ideals. Two women now carried a symbol long feared by empires. And the Empire struck back. On Mars, Sarah Miles and Lyra, the Martian mechanic, trained in secret. Lyra's night armor was different, faster, lighter. It responded to her instinct more than her thoughts. "You don't have to be perfect," Sarah told her. "Just have to stand when it matters." But they didn't have long. A stealth drone had already spotted them. And high above, a Zalari strike team was on the way. They came at night, 5 dropships, silent, fast, ruthless. Lyra was asleep. Sarah was in meditation when the doors blew open. Gas filled the air. Electric nets dropped. Both knights were caught without their suits. They woke up in darkness. Chains on their wrists, cold metal walls, a dim red light overhead. They were inside a Zalari warship. Cthulhu himself arrived, surrounded by armored guards. His voice was calm, but heavy with hate. "You had your chance," he said. "Now the word dies with you." Sarah stayed silent. But Cthulhu wasn't finished. He turned to Lyra. You want to be a knight? He asked. Then here's your trial. He pushed a button. A hologram appeared. Images of her family, friends, the Martian colony. The system showed missiles, already armed, pointed straight at them. Here is your choice, Cthulhu said coldly. Renounce the code, say it means nothing, say it's a lie. And they live. Lyra stared at the floor. Her hands shook. Refuse. And they die, he whispered. Sarah turned to her. Don't answer. He's afraid. But Lyra's heart was breaking. Could she let her people die? Was this what being a knight meant? Suddenly, the knight suit inside the ship, the one bonded to her, began to glow. Alarms went off. The lights flickered. Voice filled the chamber. Naito 2, confirming trial of truth. The room shook. Chains melted. And the suit moved on its own. The armor flew down the hallway, pieces breaking through walls and guards. It reassembled around Lyra, one piece at a time, until she stood armored, glowing, alive. Cthulhu raised a plasma blade. Cthulhu raised a plasma. She raised her hand, not to strike, Cthulhu, but to block. A shield formed. Sarah's chains snapped. 2, her suit reactivated. Both knights stood side by side. Lyra spoke softly. A knight doesn't kill to win. A knight stands so others can live. And then something strange happened. One of the Zalari guards dropped his weapon, then another, then a third. Cthulhu shouted, You are traitors. But the guards didn't move, 'cause they had just seen something they were taught to. Forget a choice made in the face of fear. A knight's choice. The warship shook again, this time from outside. Rebel ships had followed the night signal. They were surrounding the Zalari fleet. Kaitho turned to Sarah. Even if you win now, you can't stop the Empire. She looked him in the eye and said, We're not trying to stop the Empire. We're trying to wake up the galaxy. As the knights escaped, messages flooded. Every system. Lyra of Mars passed the trial. She chose honor over power. The second knight lives. More suits are awakening. On a peaceful moon far away, a child saw the news. He turned to his father and asked, Can someone, like me, become a knight too? His father smiled, tears in his eyes. Yes. That's the whole point. Back in space, Lyra and Sarah flew together. 2 lights in the dark. 2 voices in a galaxy ready to rise. Ahead of them, a new signal blinked. On their map, Naito 3, active location deep inside Zalari space. Sarah smiled. It's time for the final stand. The message had spread. The knight lives. Honor can stand against empires. The word is awake again. Across the galaxy, rebels, slaves, scientists, and soldiers whispered the word knight, and something deep inside them responded. The Zalari Empire began to crack. In a hidden place near the black hole known as the Eye, Sarah, Miles, and Lyra landed on a shadow moon. A new knight suit had been detected there, one that hadn't activated for over 3,000 years. They were not alone. Ships from 5 different species had come, each carrying someone who heard the word and wanted to understand. A man from the frozen planet Vorok. A former Zalari soldier who once served Cthulhu. A child no older than 12, carrying a pendant that glowed when he said knight. Sarah looked at all of them. This isn't about war, she said. It's about who we choose to be, when we have every reason not to be. The door to the ancient vault opened. Inside sat a third knight suit different from the others. It looked broken. It was missing pieces, covered in dust, half dead. But when Lyra stepped near it, the suit came to life and spoke, I am the first. It wasn't just a suit. It was a memory, a living code of the very first human who had ever stood alone to protect others. The first knight, he spoke through the suit, and all who listened could hear him in their own language. I was there when the word was born, the first knight said, not as a title, but as a promise. A knight is someone who chooses others before themselves, even when they are afraid, especially when they are afraid. It's why they feared the word. It's because the word cannot be controlled. Suddenly, the sky above turned red. Lari warships were approaching, led by Cthulhu's personal dreadnought, the largest ship in the galaxy. They had come to destroy the vault. And the word, Cthulhu shouted, wipe it from every system. The rebel ships couldn't win this fight. They were outnumbered, outgunned. Panic spread. Until the first knight said one last thing. A knight does not fear the end. A knight stands. Even if alone, and then every knight suit in the galaxy responded. One by one, across hundreds of systems, lights began to glow. Armors awakened. Old programs unlocked. Thousands of people, humans, aliens, hybrids, all heard the same voice. The word has returned. Will you carry it? It's back on the moon. Lyra stepped forward. I'm not perfect, she said. The first knight responded, no knight ever is. The third suit flew toward her. And in that moment, she became Knight 3. Cthulhu's forces opened fire. The vault shook, but something rose from the ground. It wasn't a weapon. It was a beacon. A giant signal tower built long ago by the original knights, not to destroy, but to remind. It sent one message across the galaxy. The word is not a weapon. It is a mirror, and in that mirror, empires fall. The dreadnought was about to strike when suddenly it stopped. All across the Zelari fleet, soldiers dropped their weapons. Not because of fear, but because of choice. They had heard the word too, and they remembered what it meant. Cthulhu stood alone on the bridge of his ship. He stared at the message repeating across every screen. Knight, he whispered the word once, and for the first time, he looked afraid. On Earth, old leaders watched in silence. One of them, an old general, stood and saluted the sky. Welcome back, he said. We've waited a long time. In the final scene, Sarah, Lyra, and the new knights look out across the stars. The first knight's voice fades into memory. But the message remains. Empires fall, but a single choice can rise forever. The screen fades to black. Then one last word appears. Knight.